It's all blurry. There we go. Hello. Hi, I'm Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello. Welcome. Hi, everybody. So, today, is it lagging? It's totally lagging. We'll just wait a second. Who's here with me? Say hello. Hello to you people who are here and haven't spoken yet. Okay. All right. So, today we're going to talk about black sheep and the scapegoat. So, long time ago, the history of the scapegoat. Scapegoats were used in cultures to basically hold, and it represents a person who holds the sins of a group. So the collective sins, the collective wrongs, the collective darkness of a group is cast onto one person. And that person is cast away from the town. And the role is to ease the pain and atone for others. Okay, it's awful. But that is the history of the scapegoat, okay? And the narcissistic parent, just by nature and just by the fact that that's the way narcissists work, is they need someone to be accountable because they can't be. They will cast that role onto one of their children or multiple children at different times. Sometimes it's a permanent scapegoat. Sometimes it is a temporary scapegoat. So where it changes between different children, depending how many children they have and the dynamic and the type of narcissist they are and all of that. But basically, somebody's got to hold the blame because they have to be the perfect parent. They have to be the perfect human being, and they have to be seen by the whole world as the perfect, most wonderful, and amazing parent in the world, right? So somebody has to be wrong. Of course, it's you. You're the one who's causing all the problems. Look at all they have to deal with when they put up with you. You see, somebody has to take the blame. It can't be them. It can't be their parenting. It can't just be a matter of we don't get along as people. You know what I mean? Like we don't all jive with our kids, right? Like one child may have a different personality from a parent, and it's very difficult, and blah blah blah, and that's okay. But when you're projecting and you're casting all the blame onto that child, like a narcissistic parent does, it becomes scapegoating. And so, what does a scapegoat feel like? Okay, there's all kinds of Life's Revival and Svenusha. I can never say that. Svenusha? Did I get it? Okay. So some of the things you might feel are ignored. I'm just going to read here. I made a giant list and add to it if you guys have scapegoating experiences in your life, and I have missed things because, as I said, I take notes quickly before I come on. I don't have a ton of time to. Anyway, so you might feel ignored. You might feel blamed, verbally abused, empty and unwanted, criticized, isolated, gaslit, accused, dismissed, diminished, labeled, set up and sabotaged, baited and switched, blame shifted, and you're often made to carry the burden of the rest of the family's problems. Parents fight, it's your fault. Siblings are at it, it's your fault. All right. So there's a few things that you might go through when you feel that. And, all of this sets up, having it happen is bad enough. What happens to us when we become adults because of it and the beliefs we have about ourselves is where we can effectively make change, right? Where we can see what's going on and try and help ourselves and heal from it. So, hi, Angela. So scapegoating, like I said, it can be temporary or permanent depending on the way the narcissist operates. Most often you hear about a family dynamic where there's multiple siblings. If there's multiple siblings and one is the scapegoat, one will be the golden child, and the golden child might go back and forth between one or two, depending on what's going on. And then one of them's more like the lost child, and they kind of, they're the ones that sink into the distance. They can look like the black sheep, but really they actually get along with everybody because they know how to be invisible. All right. They don't really get along. They just do their own thing and they stay invisible. But the black sheep, the scapegoat that becomes the black. So a scapegoat is what you are, right? While they're scapegoating you, when you're grown up and you move on and you try to re-engage with your family dynamic, that's when you become the black sheep. Everybody's looking at you as if you're different. You're your way is always the wrong way. You don't do things the way everyone else does. I mean, actually, if you look at it, it's because you're healthier. It's because you know how to get away from it. And it's a good thing to be a black sheep, honestly, in a toxic family. But it feels very isolated, and it feels very like you don't belong anywhere. So one thing that they do when you're a black sheep is they blame. They do it when you're scapegoat as well. Well, they always were this way. They're always a difficult person. Well, you know how they are. They're always whatever. They're so sensitive. And then they'll, proceed to discuss you behind your back, smear you, gossip about you, things like that. So yeah, it's good stuff, right? Hi, E-Rock Freedom. Oh, you're welcome. I hope that was helpful. Hi, Vicky. Okay. All right. So, why do you think a narcissist scapegoats? I mean, why does a narc mom? Let's just put it like that. It's usually the mom. It can be the dad too, of course. But we hear about it most often in the narcissist mothers. They switched your roles, right? Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is sometimes they switch your roles. It really depends on the more the type of narcissist that really needs the world to see them as perfect generally doesn't. But the type that is just kind of all over bad and they don't really, you know what I mean? Kind of different. They're different type when they will switch the roles, but it doesn't really matter. Being scapegoated sometimes is like the love bomb devalue cycle, right? So sometimes you get to be good, and sometimes you are completely in trouble, and it's all your fault, and you don't know what's going to happen. So it's just the exact cycle of love bombing and devalue when they scapegoat temporarily. And when they scapegoat all the time, the only thing a scapegoated child gets its emotional needs met from is when they're caretaking everybody else in the family and when they are putting themselves last. So you can see how that sets up not only what would be called a codependent type of cycle, but it sets up a really low self-worth and a really high tolerance for abuse in someone's life. You're welcome, Fancy. Chime in, anybody, because I don't have a whole lot of notes here, so I'm going to rely on you guys for some help. Lise Survival says, it taught me to believe that everyone else was right and good, and I was wrong and bad, and I made life choices with that thinking. It's exactly the problem. So let me see here. We'll come back to the whys. Let's talk about us for a bit. Actually, no, let's do the whys, and then we'll go back to what Life Survival is saying there. So narcissistic parent doing this has to feel like they're doing a good job. They need to have a high place in everybody else's view, and so they cast the blame outward because we know they can't be accountable. It's like any narcissist. They can't be accountable. Just because they're a parent doesn't make them any different. They cannot be accountable to their own actions and their own issues, and so they cast it outward toward other people. So while they may be busy devaluing their spouse behind closed doors, they're also making their children take the blame for the things that go wrong in the house as well, and often the scapegoat. So, well, usually they will play favorites if they have multiple children, obviously. So they'll have, as we said, the golden child. And the reason they do that is they need all that supply. Think about how much supply you get from a little kid who is groveling to get your attention. And you get to feel that. I mean, I can only imagine that they feel what they act. So if they're acting completely angry and disgusted at you, they must feel some amount of that, and that must give them the best sadistic supply that they can possibly muster, right? It's all about supply. We have to remember it's all about supply even when they're our parents. It's like when you have a child with a narcissist, you have to remember that what they are using their child for is supply. Okay, so it's awful, but it's what it is. They don't love from a place of empathy. They love from a place of possession and ownership. And especially with children, the child is an extension of them. The child is not a person of their own. So the child is a reflection of themselves. We all have a little piece of that with our kids, right? I mean, we see them like, oh my gosh, they're just like me, right? But we know that they're an individual person, and we hope for them to grow and become their own human being, which they are already, right? So we hope for them to understand that and to fully occupy their own emotional space and their own presence and grow up to be good people and happy people, right? But a narcissist just wants you to become what they see you as, which is an extension of themselves. So if you're not acting a certain way, then it's a reflection on them. And then with the scapegoat, you can never be right because they need someone to never be right. They can't be them. So they project it back out onto their child. It's really sick. So here we go. Okay. All right. Not always. It was just interchanging triangulation. One who thought that they might have been the golden child really wasn't. Right. That's what I mean. They will switch it up sometimes. It was horrific because the age difference was 15 years. Okay. You're a son of 2 narcissistic parents. I'm sorry. Hi, Angela. The lies, triangulation, and manipulation bring them all into a tight relationship with the scapegoat as victim and on the outside. It's actually one of the closer relationships, isn't it? The one between the narcissist and the scapegoat. It's the one that has the most intense emotional charge to it. And imagine what that does to you as a scapegoat, because that is your source of safety and love. A child is growing up with their needs, right? Children have needs they need to be, it's survival to rely on your parents and to trust your parents and to seek the emotional needs that we have from our parents. That's natural for a child, and it's also survival. So when you grow up with that as survival, that becomes your pattern for life and what we seek in other people. Or we completely Okay, so there's another thing that can happen is you can get such a thick skin you don't trust anyone, right? There's that too. There are scapegoat children who become what looks like narcissistic themselves, but they're really just completely guarded and completely avoidant of all, all relationship type interactions that could become close. So it's pretty bad. So anyway, yeah, and if they have someone to blame, then they can keep their perfect status, right? It's all your fault. So what does it do to you, which is most important here? And we know what the scapegoating is, right? And if we need more examples, you guys can hit me with some. Being blamed for events that happened that you had nothing to do with, being way too young for that thing that you got in trouble for to have even been your fault in the first place. When you look back logically, like you shouldn't have even been placed in the position where you were responsible for that. You're 5, and yet you were treated as if you were some grown adult who should have known better and completely blamed and made to feel guilty and all the other things that they do. So, there's all kinds of examples we can give, but I want to go back to that. It taught me to believe everyone else was right and good, and I was wrong and bad. And I made life's choices with that thinking from Life's Revival. Hi, Laura. Hi, Bonnie. I want to talk about that and what we can do to reprogram ourselves for ourselves, because the more I think about narcissists lately, and the more I think about healing, it's really hard to heal, right? We know this. It's not like you just wake up and you feel better. This is a process of change, and it takes a lot of active work. You can read about it all you want. You got to put it into practice. You got to get out there and try it and fail and try again. The failures are nothing more than what didn't work for you. You have to find your way through this healing until you come out the other side a much stronger person and start to appreciate and love yourself. So with this kind of background, you can see how difficult it is for so many survivors, and a lot of people don't even realize that they've had this going on until after they've had a toxic romantic relationship with a narcissist completely crumble, the complete discard happen. As they're recovering and healing, they still may not understand and reflect back on what their childhood was like until all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and they catch it. Because some of this is extremely covert. Okay, the mother or father may seem loving and like they did everything for you, you never wanted for anything. And yet the scapegoating was still there. So it's a little, you can see how this setup does, as Bonnie said, create the way we make decisions in our adult lives. So we got to change that, right? Okay. My sister, this is Bonnie. My sister is the golden child and she's almost 60. She still leans on mom and dad for money. It's weird. Yeah. And Iraq says, my sister says she was 30. Say she was 30 and I'm 15. She's on her own. Would say, must be nice to be loved by them. Oh, yeah. See, and that's the other thing. When you are the scapegoat and you are within a family of multiple siblings or even one sibling, the siblings will also give you the same treatment that the narcissist gives you. So basically everyone bullies you. You're not just a scapegoat to one person, you're a scapegoat to the entire family unit. That's what I'm trying to get at. The entire family dynamic has placed you in the position of scapegoat. Just like at the beginning, I said it was a chosen person for a group's collective sins, a group's collective wrongs. It's one single person for everybody to place all the blame on and nobody to take accountability. So, I mean, you can hear it in what you guys are saying here. Last Survival says, I was codependent, no self-value, blind to people's evil doings all around me. It's exactly what it sets up, because what happens is, because of all of that, and because that is your source of affection, your feeling of safety and survival is wrapped up around being abused by somebody who's scapegoating you. Your tolerance for abuse is super high because number one, you don't know any better. And number two, you know you can take it. It's not like you consciously think I can take this and you stand in the face of somebody being abusive. It's just that's normal. And you know how to handle it. You have coping skills to meet that high level of abuse. So as we heal, we have to lower our tolerance for abuse. And what that means is completely raising your standards for what you expect from other people. And it's a lot of thought goes into it and a lot of walking away from people and boundary setting. So, okay. Where are we? It's a spiritual change, emotional and even physical, because you are going through the withdrawals of being away from a narcissist. It is. It's an all-encompassing change that happens. This is why I think a narcissist can't change, okay? No matter how much someone may want them to. Think about how hard it is to change when you want it this bad. Now imagine getting away with everything and not really needing to be accountable and living your whole life that way and always having it work. Sure, you might feel bad about yourself, so to speak, but you can shove that behind your ego and keep going, or you can scapegoat and blame someone else and keep going. Why would they change? Think about how hard it is to make these changes where, as Bonnie says, it's a spiritual change, emotional, even physical change. It's also a mental change. It's in every piece of you to heal from narcissistic abuse. The narcissist themselves, the reason it's in everything is because it's in everything for them, right? If all they did was hit, then it would be more of a physical and mental thing with a little emotional mix. It's different. It's different when it is pervasive in psychological abuse, because it's how they're projecting and reflecting onto you their icky, empty emotional state, and we take it on and it alters everything in us. And so we have to change everything. It's hard. So you can see why they there's no way. Why would they? And even if they could, even if they could spark empathy, which they can't, it would be such an uphill battle. So anyone who is thinking their narcissist will change because sometimes they're good, I'm sorry. It's not worth waiting. It's not worth waiting to see if that magic miracle will happen. It really isn't. Okay, that was my little rampage. But here we go. They parentify you. They do parentify you. They need you to be the adult, because they can't. They don't have the ability. someone's knocking at my door. Here we go with the barking, because someone is always. So I try it in the morning. Knock, knock, knock. I try it in the evening. Knock, knock, knock. Okay. So anyway, yes, they cannot be, someone who can't be accountable isn't a full-fledged adult. So they need everyone else to pick up the pieces for them. That's what a narcissist does. Okay. Hi, Suzanne. My family are all messed up. Well, let's see. Okay. Uh-oh. Hey. Sorry. They use your own children. You guys, I told you I'm working. I told you I'm working, right? Go play. Yeah, it's good. I think I need to, I know, I need a sign on the outside of the door. Shh. Okay, back to work. Anyway, so all of them against one. I'm learning to lower my expectations, working on it. Thank you. Yes, we have to, because having any expectations at all for a narcissist or the family members who were raised by them, why have expectations? Allow yourself to be maybe pleasantly surprised by someone who's not a narcissist who does their own healing, but why have an expectation that they will? All it does is set you up. That is setting up something that waits for the other shoe to drop. You work on yourself and you have expectations for yourself. But you raise what you will accept from other people to a higher standard so that you are not being treated like this ever again. And the more you do that, the lower your tolerance gets and the more uncomfortable it is to be around people like that. But that's a good thing. We don't want it to be comfortable. I mean, we do, but we don't, Okay. My mother is 90 and she's just as much a manipulator and triangulator and causing divisions in the family even now. Of course, it's actually probably worse because sweet little old lady, right? It's probably worse and more justifiable to everybody else. Yeah. Big revelation 4 years ago was the fact that my father's love, in quotes, was conditional. I agree. It's conditional and it's transactional, isn't it? Yeah. I grieved the dad I never had. I'm now okay because my boundaries are like Fort Knox. Excellent. I know we have to, it's like any other narcissist. We have to see them for what they are. There is no other them. There's only the manipulator. There's no other them. There's only the person who manipulates and controls and abuses. Any good that they give is just, it's the same as any narcissist, right? We have to see it as they are, who they are. What we want from them, we can't have. Okay. What we need from a parent, it's sad as it is, we can't have it. You have to move forward and build your own internal parent, right? Reparent yourself. It's the way out. So, okay. It's me. No internet here a moment ago. Okay. Hi, Belle. You saying hi to Oswald. He says, yeah. So, Belle, what do you want to talk about with this topic of scapegoating? When you asked who was knocking, I meant it's me. Oh, it's you knocking. Hello. You're allowed to knock. It's just the children, they're funny because they know. They forget. Okay. All right. Let's see. What kind of dog? They're mini Australian shepherds. That's why they bark at everything. Okay. Yes, reparent yourself. Okay. Just trying to catch up on the chat. Any questions about this? Anything you guys want to comment? Anything I'm missing? Please chime in. Okay, so some of the things that can happen to the survivor of a narcissistic abuse when they have been raised by a narcissist and were the scapegoat is your self-view, your self-worth, and your self-esteem are all highly affected and altered based on what you have experienced, right? I talked about the tolerance, perfectionism. Perfectionism is huge. You may not feel like a perfectionist, but for most people, many people who have experienced being a scapegoat, perfectionism is in there, and it can look different than just needing to do things perfect. Like you may be totally sloppy and think, well, I'm not a perfectionist. But really the reason you're sloppy is because you can't make everything perfect. Does that make sense? Like some people hoard because they need to have stuff around them, but they also can't make order because it needs to be perfect, right? And they have the belief they can't make it perfect because it was put in their head that they are absolutely imperfect and broken. So there's all kinds of ways it can manifest, or it can just be like not finishing things, starting things and not being able to finish. It can be all kinds of, plus plain old perfectionism as we know it, but perfectionism can be hidden all over the place. And we have to realize the narcissist need to make you perfect was a narcissistic thing. It's not real. Okay. And we have to realize that there is no perfect person. They're certainly not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And if we were perfect, the world would be pretty boring, full of a bunch of automatons, right? That were made that are imperfection. Our perfection is in our imperfection. It's in our ability to make mistakes and learn and grow. That's where our perfection lies. It's in the beauty of an open and loving heart. That's where your perfection lies, right? And by that, I don't mean you make that perfect. I mean, it just is of its nature a perfect thing. And we can't get to any of that stuff if we're worried about what other people think, how people see us, all the things that the narcissist feeds into you. So there's a lot of reprogramming to do to get past the perfectionism that we have. Okay. I've switched from golden child to scapegoat several times with my father. Yep. When I said, and this can happen especially as an adult. Like sometimes someone will be like like if there's a multiple sibling family and there's like a major golden child that usually gets pretty narky when they grow up, and then there's the ones that were golden, but they weren't the golden child, so to speak. They were just the good ones, and they kind of went along with things. Those ones, the narcissist, or even the golden child, the narcissist can completely turn on as your adults. So sometimes all the way through your childhood, you're one thing, and then as an adult, you get the switch and you see the other side of it. And that's why sometimes only one person sees what's going on. The scapegoat knows what's going on. If they've been scapegoated as a child and they know something's not right, everyone else is treated one way, I'm treated the other. It's most people see it, or not most, many people see it. Okay. But and then they'll say, how come no one else in my family can see this? How come no one can see what's going on? Because they weren't treated that way. It's not until the narcissist turns on them that then they get the full force of what it is. It's just like anyone, how they can't understand narcissism until they feel the devaluing. There you go. So when I set a boundary, he would smear me to other family members. I'm over it. I don't emotionally expect from him anymore. Good. Excellent. Being over it is the best. So much isolation. That's another thing, is the isolation. We talked about that very minimally, but the isolation. Yeah. When I go out, I find so many narcissists out there. I live near New York City. I think I'm in narcissist zone. Well, I think often we are. That's another. I'd like to do another video on that. Always seeing the narcissists out there. We have to be vigilant and keep our eyes open, right? But there's a lot of good people out there too. And it's a shame to miss them because we're only looking where our eyes can only see, you know what I mean? They're like shining lights in a sea of emptiness, and finding that is good. So I'll do another video on that, but I get it. It is isolating. And the more you see, the harder it is to not see it, right? I am the eternal black sheep. I'm learning it will never change. Any suggestions when things go really bad at family gatherings? I just apologize and leave. I would never apologize again, ever. Excuse me. Sorry. I'd never apologize again, Belle. You have nothing to apologize for. Nothing. Unless you spilled red wine on their white carpet, there's nothing to apologize for. And even then, they probably made you spill it. Right? There is nothing. You let them be accountable for themselves. They won't, but you let them be by never apologizing for who you are ever again to anyone. Do not apologize for who you are. Yes, get up and leave. Don't go. Set time. If you have to go, if you feel entirely obliged and you just can't go no contact, or you can't go minimal contact, set a time frame for yourself and stick to it. You create your boundary. You don't go until it gets bad. You go for 15 minutes or half an hour or an hour, whatever you think you can tolerate. You set set your own limits for your life. And you show up like belle of the ball. And you do your thing and you say, da, 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 la, 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 I'm leaving. You never apologize. Let it go south. Just look at them like, yeah, I know what's going on, and walk away. I don't tolerate this. Goodbye. No apologies. None. Okay? Seriously. We have to grow our self-worth. And we have to see that this life is not meant to be lived for other people. It's meant to be lived for yourself. And then if you choose, or you are the type being in service and kindness and loving with other people, you choose the people you do that with, not just anyone. If you're throwing your goodness at some dark people otherwise that will never reciprocate, and you'll never get what you need. When you stand up, don't apologize and leave, you get what you need for yourself. You give it to yourself. Excuse me. Yes, the sweet little old lady, my father too. He said he's about to meet his maker. Oh, actually said that he and my mother will be buried in Florida because of my sister who passed away suddenly. Okay. Yeah. That's the whole pity ploy, right? Angela is saying, I was raised to be a perfectionist. I never feel like I do anything right. So what can you do about that, Angela? What beliefs do you have around that? This is where I love doing NLP exercises and coaching. Can't do it here. Won't work. But I would ask yourself what you want instead and write it out as if it's happening, as if it's now. What do you want instead of feeling that? And write it out. There's my mini NLP exercise for you. What do you want? What do you want to feel? And write it out as if it is. Make a sentence and a paragraph. And there's your mantra. There's your mission to live by, right? And that's just not going to do a whole lot, but it gives you some focus, okay, to get away from that. You have to retrain, I think, your brain to believe that, from believing that to believing what you want to believe. That was all placed in you. That isn't who you are. You're not beneath others, and you do things right. You have to. Even if you did everything wrong, who cares? That's still okay, right? Even if like literally everything you did was wrong, which I doubt, it's still okay. That doesn't make you good or bad. It's the qualifier of not doing things right is a bad thing. That it's that judgment that we have to like pull that piece out and throw it away, because it's not true. The only way to succeed is to fail. The only way to achieve, to innovate, to create, to have something authentic is to do it wrong once in a while in order to make something from it, right? So there you go. It's a little perspective. Get those perspectives shifted, guys. This is, okay. Scapegoat also by high school teachers, and that can happen when we're in the scapegoat role. We walk around with the scapegoat. I can tell you, I think I've been scapegoated most of my life in situations, often. And I think it's a good-natured kindness mixed with a low self-esteem that it's like it attracts the bullying, right? So this is what I'm talking about, is changing how we perceive ourselves is the key to changing our whole life. Yes, perfectionism often leads to procrastination. Venusia, that's what I was trying to get out, and you said better than I did. Thank you. What else is going on here? Did I not say hi to Laura? Hi, Laura, if I missed you. Oh, yeah, you're totally describing Iraq Freedom, the pity ploy. You know, if I can't get attention, I'm just going to sit here and talk about how old I am and how close I am to death so that everyone waits on me hand and foot and does everything I want, right? As a narcissist. Yes, reprogramming and reparenting, it is necessary, says Bonnie. It sure is. It's really, finding a inner parent that gives you what you need can be interesting. Mine is Spock and Mr. Rogers mixed together. That's my inner father. And I love him. So, okay. And I have a funny meme of them together, which actually isn't them together, with somebody photoshopped a sweater on Spock. I love it. Okay. Angela's saying my father was the second narcissist I've conquered. Indifferent, an example of indifference and acceptance of what they are. Working on my third sometimes. When you can't go no contact, you may be lucky enough to develop immunity. You develop skills, right? And that creates the immunity. You develop skills like I was talking to Belle about, which is walking away, setting time, creating your own boundaries and sticking to them. You create integrity for yourself and you force others to live up to that, to hold you that integrity around you by not engaging, by gray rocking, by never apologizing for something you didn't do. You change those patterns. It's going to shock them. Who cares? It's not about them. It's about your own integrity. So, and your own self-worth, not integrity for other people, integrity for yourself. I think my golden child grown sister has become a full-blown narcissist, says Bonnie. It's most likely true. It's often true. Belle says it really hurts. I've learned that in Europe, it's common practice to mob, like crowds that mob red-tailed hawks. Oh, crows, sorry. Yeah, we get that here. It's awful. The murder of crows attacking the hawks. Odd thing, the hawk is so much stronger, but they ignore the mobbing. Good idea. Yep. Yeah, I think it's all you can do, and I would never stay longer than, personally, an hour, half an hour to an hour. Just long enough to say what you need to say, do the social niceties, and then get out. And it doesn't matter what they think. Here's the thing, it doesn't matter what they think. They already think what they're going to think. It doesn't matter what they think beyond that. And go no contact, they will get bored of gossiping about you. That's true. And if they don't, who cares? You don't have to listen to it. Let them gossip. Every time they say your name, pretend you get something special. So it just make it a game for yourself toward the positive. Let them. I've also learned that the black sheep is usually the more sensitive, intuitive. Yes. I feel hated since I was a child. I have felt hated since I was a child. My curiosity is so annoying to them. Yes, Belle. It is often the more sensitive and intuitive person, because who else is going to take it? A narcissist knows when they're in front of an empath, not because they're like, oh, I know that person's an empath, because the person responds to them in a way that gives them an ultimate supply. Somebody who isn't super empathic, even a child, some children are pretty self-driven, right? And others are extremely giving to other people. It's just natural for people. And they hone in on those ones that are sensitive and giving. As they shut them down, they learn to control them, and they see that they control them, and they use that. But then they also criticize the child for becoming what they're becoming because of the control. So in other words, if you took a bright, beautiful, empathic child that's super giving and caring, blah, 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 and you stuck them in that situation, and they went in bright-eyed and happy, and a year later they were sad and depressed, and you know how it felt. Alone, isolated, nobody likes me, shrinking back, frail, whatever it is. Then they have something real to criticize. Look at you. You're just this, no wonder no one likes you. You just sit there all hunched over, whatever they say to you, and then in their criticism. Or if you would just do this, then, it gives them something. It's a feedback loop, right? The more they abuse, the more it creates something in someone else. And then the more they have to criticize, which then is more of the abuse cycle in that loop. So yes, with the sensitive child, we just jumped all over. We have a ton of, you guys are awesome. Okay. I am so lost. I don't know where we are. Okay. All right. It just jumped. It's still, did I read this? No. Oh, I found it. Okay. All right. I spent decades slaving for my mom, and now her golden child kicked me to the curb. Laura is saying it's still hard for me to accept that my mother is a narcissist. I just can't see how they could be like this with their child. It's hard to comprehend for me because it's the same as any. You have to look at them blanketly, okay? A narcissist has no empathy. Where in their brain empathy should be firing when they are experiencing somebody else and somebody else's experience, like empathy, right? It doesn't light up. Instead, they are ego-based. Everything that drives them is based on their own wants. Okay, they're shut down. They're emotionally shut down. It's no different. They have no accountability. It's no different than any other narcissist. Just because they're your parent doesn't mean it changes. Okay, it's the same exact thing. One difference might be that they attach to you in a way that makes it so you're part of them instead of your own individual person. In other words, they need you, or they feel you as an extension of them. So everything you do is a reflection of them. So really, when they're scapegoating you, they're showing you what they feel about themselves. They're projecting onto you. They're projecting all of the bad onto you because that's how they are inside, right? Just like any other, it's devaluing, okay? And it's no different than any other narcissist, except for that instead of it being a romantic thing where you are trauma bonded based on the love and needs you have for them, it's also got the added element of them placing, I'm not maybe wording this right, where they, they see their children as themselves. Does that make sense? Like, you're not your own person. So there's that gripping, reflective thing that goes on back and forth. And so that's what can make it so difficult. And you have empathy. And so you are experiencing, if you have your own children in particular, and if you don't, then you know, just witnessing people with knowing what it would be like to have a child, that you're thinking of it like there should be love there. And it's not the same kind of love. It's the love of a narcissist is the love of ownership of something. That's it. So sad as it is, we have to face these facts, even if it makes us cry, and it's sad. And because it's your parent, it's the ultimate loss feeling of not ever having that nurturing love being given to you by the people who should. And it's terrible. You can, however, create it for yourself. So it's not a loss. It's acceptance. When you accept it, that it didn't come from that source, then you can create it within your life for yourself. Does that make sense? When we keep holding a thread of hope or a thread of a glimmer of just maybe or what ifs, then it's really difficult to build our own, create our own worth and give back to ourselves. So, okay. Not apologizing is hard, eh? Says Lise Rebel says, that's a hard one, Lise, not apologizing. I live my life in apology. So instead of saying sorry, say thank you. Practice all day long with everyone. Don't say sorry unless you did something. Think about it. Did I do anything? Nope. Thank you for understanding. Boop, gone. It pushes people when you feel the need to apologize. Sometimes, like, I hate it when people apologize and I don't hate it. But you know what I mean? Like, it makes me feel like they're putting something on me when they apologize, when there was nothing. Like, why are you apologizing? What'd you do? You didn't do anything to me. It makes me feel like I'm supposed to say, oh, no, it's okay. And like give back to them, when I would have anyway, if they had said, you know what? Thanks for letting me be late. Thanks for letting me miss that. Thanks for understanding. Then I totally want to give, right? So, but then with people that are toxic, they want you to apologize. Because they want you to take the blame for whatever the thing is. And they want you to be in a position that they see you as. So it's unless it's something real, don't apologize. Say thank you. Instead, it's hard. It is hard. Who cares? Let it be hard. That's what I say. It's no harder than some things. Just do it. Just do it. Been trying to embrace failures. It's another one. Not impossible, difficult. Yes. None of this is easy. It's not. Humor helps. There is no pleasing a narcissist, and they're flying monkeys. No amount of apologizing will keep the peace. No, it won't. And that's what we're hoping for sometimes, is to keep the peace. Who cares if there's peace? Who cares if there's peace? It's not your peace. You go create your own peace, and you do what you need to do if you have to be around them. I love my family so much. I just do not get it back. Learn to love yourself, Belle. As much as you love your family, put it on you. The focus needs to be on you. If you have a toxic family, you need to put that focus on you, love, so that you can feel your worth because you have so much love to give and you're pouring it into people who can't reciprocate it. But there's so much out there that can reciprocate back, even if it's nature or animals or friends, or you know what I mean? Like, find ways to get it is hard. I know it's super hard. Sorry, I'm preaching. Preach. Getting on a roll. All right. When the narcissist is being kind and generous, that can make me want to cry, because I can feel the love you have, but it needs to be poured into you. It really, really, really does. Okay. That's what's missing. Is you're missing the love, as you just said. You're missing it. So pour it into yourself. Yeah. Okay. Hi, DC guy. When the narcissist is being kind and generous, is that really part of them, or is it also part of the mask? Both. It's both. It's their mood. It's their, yeah, it's part of them. Sure. But does it make it good? No. I see the good as the worst part of the abuse, because it's the hook. It's the bait. So it's the juicy little piece of food sitting there waiting for the trap to fall. Right? And it's not intentional per se. I don't want to say that they're intentionally good to make it so that you are trapped. I think it's just the nature of the way the narcissist is. They need the good supply as well as the bad. They need the happy, fun, la, la, la. They need to play Peter Pan. They need to do all that stuff that is happy and joyful and light. And then they need to abuse as well, because they are not happy people, and they have no empathy, and they're emotionally unable to be accountable. So their whole world is delusional based on their own creation of it. Does that make sense? Like, every narcissist is their own little planet, and everything revolves around them. So any good that's in there is nothing. It's part of a mask in a sense. Sometimes it's a total mask. Sometimes it's, I'm in a good mood today, everyone else should be, and it's totally fake. And other times it's just what they're doing, but it's always bad. It's the worst part, because it hooks you. It doesn't feel like the worst part. It feels like the best part. And that's why it's so bad. Does that make sense? I quit initiating contact with siblings who were toxic to me. Excellent. I think my one sister I talked to told them I don't want to hear from them and is scapegoating me. Not sure how to set the record straight. Don't. Just let it be. You don't need to set any records straight. You get to choose your own life. And if they, what did you do? You stop talking about your siblings to your sibling that you do talk to. If it's brought up, say, you know what, that topic's off topic between us now. Let's just keep it clean. Just keep it between your life, my life, and things we enjoy together, so that we can stay cool and not have these issues, right? Keep family talk away from them. Keep family talk for your support groups, friends who are close enough to understand what you went through, your therapist, a coach, anything that is supportive. Keep that talk there. Any family talk, off limits. That's what I would do. Let's see. DC guy, meaning are both nice and cruel parts of them not really them at all? Yes. Because there is no them. Right. Because there is no, well, in a sense, I could look at it that way. I don't know. I mean, I have read that they have not fully formed personalities that are all smushed together as one thing, and they wear different masks for different situations. I think I have witnessed what one's real self was, and it was this empty, kind of boring, afraid child, really, inside. And it gave me a ton of empathy, which wasn't a great thing to see, but it made me see that the good and the bad were what they were putting on. And it's not, I don't think the masks are necessarily always intentional. I think it's just their mode of operation. Does that make sense? Sort of like you put on a work face when you go to work. You're not going to just like I feel like just laying down now, guys. Okay, I'm just gonna sit up, at least try. And it's not fake per se, because I'm trying to be authentic here, right? But if I were at a job where I had to be completely serious, it would be very difficult for me, and I would have to put on a straight face, right? I think it's like that. Like they operate based on how they want the mood to go. Does that make sense? So if they are in a mood for something happy, then they put on the happy face. It's kind of fake, right? But also part of them. Does that make sense? I think it's a mix. And again, it matters only in understanding, but what matters more is that the good keeps you from seeing the bad, or it keeps you there even though you see the bad. Does that make sense? Okay. What time? Oh, gotta go in 5 minutes here, you guys. So, okay. You never heard my mother tell me she loves me. No hugs, no emotions other than disappointment. I'm so sorry, Laura. What can you do to give yourself that? Do you know what nurtures you? Here's a little exercise is figure out what nurtures you and give it to yourself. Figure out little things. Use your senses, your sense of smell in particular, and touch. Go get a soft blanket or put your feet in water or whatever nurtures you. Do it. And that's how you start feeding yourself the love that you need. It's not the same, no, but in a way it's better because you can't get it from a narcissist, right? Okay. All right. I'm not skipping you guys on purpose. I just have like 5 minutes and then I gotta go. So I know Belle says, reading all these posts, my heart goes out to all of you. So many similarities. There's a whole lot. If you guys, anyone watching this, if you want to read along with the chat, there's a whole lot I had to skip today. There was a lot of talk about narcissistic families and it's heartbreaking. You see, I have hope though, you guys, that you can find what it is you need and start putting it in your life, setting those boundaries, as some of you talked about, creating your own inner parent. We should do a video on that, right? And watch the self-care videos that I've done, that Angie does, that other people do, and start working on those things, because that's the way to find this inner parent. It's the way to find your way through all of this. You have to disbelieve what we grew up with. It's like anything, any kind of programming, you got to reprogram it. It's not going to just go away. It is hard. Let go of okay. This is my rant for the day. Let go of the thought this is hard. We know this. It's a fact. It's hard. It's hard for all of us. It's hard. Who cares? Let it be hard. Let it be hard. Find what's easy in it. It's not so hard to go find something that smells good. Do it. You know what I mean? Find the easy pieces and stick those easy pieces together piece by piece until you start building something for yourself to start creating beliefs outside of this. Get yourself into therapy or coaching or something that you can help work through the belief systems and start reprogramming yourself to believe different things. The more perspective you have around these beliefs, the smaller the beliefs get and the bigger the room around them gets. That's what I love talking to people about. So we do that a lot in the group coaching group that is on Wednesdays and Fridays. It's the evolving group. We talk about perspective all the time, or I do. They're probably sick of hearing it, but that's what I talk about. It's all about perspective shifts. So much it is, because can't go backwards and fix it, can only move forward and live, right? We have the finite amount of time we have left. And so let's live it. And living it in the same little circle, it's not gonna fly for us. No, we got to evolve and hop out of that and move onward. So perspective shifts. Okay. Anything else that I missed here? Okay, you guys, you're not flawed. You're not deficient. You're not wrong. You're not out of place. And you have a place in this world. You belong here. You're important. Okay. You're all amazing. I mean, I love talking to you guys. So I say you're amazing. You are amazing. You are helping each other to see that you're amazing. Okay. You all have an incredible amount of worth and value. And what these toxic parents put into you were lies. They were lies to fill the need that toxic parent had for themselves. Okay. They're toxic. Toxic is toxic. We can't expect, lovely things to come from something toxic. It just won't. So understand that everything that's been programmed into you is wrong. And that's a good thing. Okay. You want to be able to let that go so that you can accept all these things that I'm telling you, that you're all amazing. Okay. And you all have worth and you all have value. So I'm going to leave you with love and love, lots of love and love. Okay. All the love is flowing. All right. Trying to unhook one hook at a time. I'm excited. Let the hooks fly, man. Just let them fly. Let them unhook. Yeah. Okay. What else are you guys saying? I appreciate you too, Life Survival. All right. Let them fly. I just pictured like whoosh, ripping the hooks off. I don't know what's on in my head. Okay. Anything else here that I missed? I don't think so. All right. Yeah, there's lots. I missed lots because this is a huge topic, but that's where we're going to stop today. You guys are amazing. Okay. You guys take care of yourself. The group coaching, in case anyone's interested, starts again next week. It meets, Pacific time, 3:30 and 6 on Wednesdays. It meets at 11 a.m. Pacific on Fridays. We meet on a Zoom video chat. There is also a Facebook daily messenger that goes with it. They talk nonstop to each other and have a really great support system going there. I chime in when I can. And if someone has a pressing thing, I'll come in and give some little coaching tweaks until we can make it to the meeting. And anyway, that meets then. It's called, I'll put a link in the main part of it. I think I said I'd do that yesterday, but I will do it today. In the main description of this video, I'll put a link for that group. It's an ongoing group. It's monthly. There is a fee for that because it is an actual coaching group. It's $60 per month. So it's like $15 a week for coaching. This is as low as I can get it. That's good though. $15 a week. And if anyone ever needed to do weekly, that you can just message me. But anyway, if you want to do that, if anyone wants to do that, it's available. What do I want to say about it? Nothing. It's a great group. I love them. So there's that. And it's got men and women in it. So yay. Anyway, there's that. If you have not hit subscribe if you enjoyed this and this is useful to you. Please hit the thumbs up. And if you enjoyed this, or if this was a useful topic, it helps me to choose new topics in the future when I know what people like. And also, that's it. Oh, if you want to have notifications sent to text me at 33222 and put the word Lise Live, LISELIVE in the text message. Send it. I only send one text right before I go live. That's the only text I do. It is about 10 minutes before I go live. And that's it. Thank you guys. And I will see you. What's today? I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, wait, no, tomorrow's Wednesday. Maybe tomorrow, Thursday, if not. Wednesday's I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.